Twishi, you can switch off your webcam while you are presenting because it's
Okay.
two video inputs.
Okay, fine. Okay. Okay. Can you guys see this thing, the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, welcome to HTML5 Games. This is your blueprint to building simple games. So firstly, the session is pretty basic. Uh, I'll just be covering about three major sections. HTML canvas in 2D, which is basics of HTML canvas, animations using HTML5, and developing a simple game using all of the above. I'd like, I really don't know if you guys are aware with HTML, but if you guys are just dropping like a text uh, in the chat so that okay, just drop in a chat. I'll start with the session. I won't be covering HTML, CSS basics. I assume that majority of you all know HTML, JavaScript. I'll be using a bit of jQuery as well. And yeah, that's basically about it, what you need to use to develop an HTML5 game. So yeah. Okay, so firstly, what is HTML? HTML5 is the latest version of HTML and includes a lot of cool features. So actually, technically, the definition is that it's a revised version of HTML, that is a markup language used to develop websites. But with all these additional features of Canvas and web audio, etc., HTML has expanded to be used to develop games as well. So that's what we're focusing on today on HTML5 games. So why do we actually build HTML5 games? Three major reasons that are stated is because one, it's cross-platform. So the biggest advantage is that when you develop a game, you need to worry about the screen size or the type of input that other devices will be having. So with HTML5, you can just personalize your code, and it's as simple as that to run on any other device. So you don't have to worry about the screen size or the type of inputs. So that's why it's cross-platform. Second is unique distribution. Unique distribution because with HTML5 games, you can basically, you don't need to launch your game on you don't need to launch a game on a native mobile app place or a web store where a person has to download a game. You can just create a hyperlink and probably just click that and it's a game. Like in today's age, we have so many links on Facebook, Twitter. Imagine one of them being your game, and you just that's how easy it is to access this. Uh, the other good thing is that you can use it to your advantage by if you have a link, you can have a link to go to a particular level, or just have a particular challenge, and you can directly connect that link to point to that. So that's one more advantage of unique distribution. And then final is quicker development process. So it's easy, very little debugging. You can just modify your code and push it directly, and yeah, you have your game. So this is a basic intro that I wanted to give. Besides this, as I said, you need HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery in case you want to use it. If you want to have a game that stores data at the backend, you can include your own backend service using Node.js or PHP or Python or anything. And you can also have third-party backend as a service like Firebase or something. So yeah. So this is about it. I'll just let's get started with like coding. So just give me a minute. Uh, so it'll be really good if you guys can code along simultaneously. Like I wanted to be a very hands-on session. So can you guys do that? Like give me a thumbs up or something if you guys are with me, or just respond back.
You guys can unmute and say yes.
Yeah, I mean you can like actually you can actually like text me or something on the chat as well, because
Yeah.
I need like a response back because I feel I'm talking to a screen.
Yeah, they're saying yes.
Okay. Okay, so just get like any text editor. So you can use Sublime. I'll be using Sublime. You guys can use Notepad++ or any of your choice. Yeah. So firstly, the first topic that I'm going to touch is the HTML canvas. So what exactly is HTML canvas? HTML canvas is a powerful JavaScript API which is inside a browser. Basically, it acts like a 2D interface, okay, where you can directly edit, resize, change images, do animations, interactions with the games. Like it's all in your browser. It's just a tag. It's an HTML tag which you add, and you just have a canvas. It's like a real world canvas, like painters use. It's just the thing is that this is digitally, and you can paint your screen and create like stuff online. Besides this, it takes instructions like through the code that you give, and it directly renders them and displays them on your browser. So this is how HTML canvas is pretty useful. I've also mentioned that canvas has a set of functions that allows to draw shapes and images, text and patterns. So basically we get the context of the canvas, and then we can like manipulate the canvas as per what we want to show. Basically, just like how we paint, uh, we can paint our whole screen on the browser. Uh, the only advantage is like in real world life, if you make a mistake when you paint, you have to paint over it again, or like you have to start all over again. But with this, you can just modify it using your code and you're ready to go. So I'll just show you this is just from the scratch. This is like really basic. Um, yeah. So how do we create a canvas? We create a canvas using the following tag. Can you see my cursor? Can you see this red cursor with the pointer?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So basically, you use canvas. You give it an ID just to identify your canvas. It's necessary to give a width and a height so that you have a dimension. For those people who know HTML and who have worked with this, it'll be very familiar to you guys. So yeah, this is how you declare a canvas tag. Besides this, when you're coding, in the scripting part, you have to get your canvas. So we have like a variable that gets the canvas, so that we know that this is the canvas that we're going to use. And after that, we have a context where we specify whether we want our canvas to be in 2D or 3D. So this is especially used in games because you want to specify if your game has to be 2D or 3D. I'm sticking to 2D today. So, but you guys can obviously explore 3D as well. I'll be linking some courses at the end, so y'all can refer to that. Yeah, and then the methods that I had mentioned that you can do on your canvas, like drawing, adding text patterns and all. You can do that using the context. So yeah, I'll just show you like a demo code. So I've already created this code because I did not want to waste much time. Can you guys see this? Yeah, right?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, this is a normal HTML code. Okay. It has a head and body tags. And in the body, I've added the canvas. Okay. So just like how I said, the basic tag, you guys can code along, okay? Like simultaneously so that you guys can see. Okay, so this is the body. We have a canvas tag with an ID called my canvas. I've just given it. You can give it your choice. I've specified a width and a height. This is basically my outer boundary of the canvas. Now, some of the browsers, like the older ones that do not support Canvas or the JavaScript API. So for that, I've just like, you can print a message. It's not necessary to put anything over here. But yeah, this is how your basic Canvas tag looks. Now, if I just run this without giving any styling or border, you will basically see a blank screen because your screen is also white and your canvas is also white. So everything blends in. So you won't be able to make a definite boundary. So that's why I've given some styling to the canvas. This is again CSS, if you guys are aware. So what I've done is simple. I've just called the canvas and I've given it a border, black border, 1 pixel, solid. So let's just see how this looks. Okay, so this is how basically my canvas looks right now. This is why the black border I was talking about, because if I don't give this, it'll just blend in with the whole thing and you won't be able to see anything. So this is the major reason. Okay, so now I'll just go back to the PPT. Okay, so now let's see how, now this is basic of canvas. So how do we draw on a canvas? So the first step is drawing shapes or writing text. So these are some functions that we call on the CTX variable. Okay. So fill style is equal to color. This is called on the fill. This is basically choosing the color of your pen. Okay. So these are some functions that I mentioned. We'll see how to use these functions and manipulate them. I'll just state them first, so then we can just click on the code later. So just keep in mind these functions. You can write them down if you want. Fill style is equal to color. You mentioned the color over here. This basically chooses the pen color, and when you draw a shape or figure, it fills the figure with that color. Stroke style is just like to draw the boundaries and just to draw it's basically choosing the same color pen, and then it just draws the outer boundary. To draw shapes, there are some more functions. These are like defined functions. So fill rectangle is to draw a rectangle. You mentioned the X and Y coordinates and the width and height of the rectangle. And since it's fill rect, it fills the rectangle. Again, one more precaution that we need to take during working with Canvas is that in your normal geometrics or coordinate system, in a normal coordinate system, we probably have like a coordinate system that looks like this. So this is X and Y, and this is a 0, your origin. So this is your, sorry. This is your normal coordinate system and normal geometry. But in Canvas, we have the coordinate system following like this. So your X is horizontal and your Y is again vertical. But we have the origin, which is at your left-hand corner of your screen. So basically your screen is like that. So it's not in the middle, it's in the corner. So this is the system that we're going to follow today. Okay. Okay. So yeah, so we'll see how to manipulate these functions. You guys can start coding with me along, or I have the type code and you can copy it. So we have a variable C. C basically gets the context of, basically gets your canvas element. So what I've done is I've created a script. You can write a separate JavaScript file and include the file, but I've just done it here only. So I've written a script. I've declared two variables, variable C and CTX. C will basically get your canvas element. So my canvas element was declared to be my canvas in the body over here. So I call that over here. Okay. This is a JavaScript function. JavaScript function called document.query selector. My canvas. I've directly called my canvas And CTX basically gets the context where I mentioned whether it's 2D or 3D, like I indicated before. Okay, and then you have a paint function or a draw function. Basically, we have two functions called init and paint. Init is an initializer function that it initializes, and then a paint function basically does basically paints your screen. So all the painting part that you do it in the paint function, and your init function is just to initialize your canvas and just start. Okay, so we'll just see how to draw a simple rectangle. Okay, I've actually done a small thing. I've actually made a small demo kind of thing. This is what we have to get to, and we're starting from here. Okay, so this is just the basic using rectangles and text. This is simple how we manipulate. So to draw a simple rectangle, I've done ctx.fillStyle. FillStyle chooses the pen color. I've chosen orange here because I want an orange background. And fill rectangle, I've mentioned the x and y coordinates along with the width and height. So let's see what this does. I save it and I just refresh my page. It draws an orange rectangle. Okay, so I won't waste much time on this. I'll just show how we have the other functions and how we'll manipulate them. So we saw this fill rectangle part. Let's see the next. Okay, so this is how we add the text. Again, all these functions are called on the CTX variable, that is the context variable. So font, we set the type of font that we want. So we set the pixel size, that is the font size, and the font name. So it can be Arial, Sans Serif, whatever you want. Okay. Then we have a line width, which is specified as a number, and it specifies the thickness of your pen. Okay, so these are just two major things that we'll be using. Other than that, to write text, we have stroke text and fill text. Just like how we had for rectangle, stroke text basically just draws the outer boundary, and it takes three parameters. That is text to be written, the position of the pixel to be located, x and y coordinates. And fill text takes the text, x and y. So we'll see how to use this. I've already written the code, so I'm just going to copy it. Yeah. Okay, so I'll explain this code for you. You guys can copy it if you want to simultaneously see the output. So this is basically, I'm just drawing a rectangle, but over here, I've done stroke style black. I've chosen the pen to be black in color. The font I set to 38 pixels of serif. I can change it to Arial or whatever. My line width is the width of the stroke, as I said, as a number. So I put it to 1. Stroke text, I want dev cluster to be printed and at the location 90, 90. So I'm doing that. Fill style is again a color, because you have to mention the color that should your text be filled with. And I've got fill text. It just basically fills the entire text with that color. So turns 1, and again my x and y coordinates. So I'll give you like a minute if you guys are copying. Yeah. Just say, somebody can just say a yes if they're done, or should I go ahead? Yeah, I'll go ahead. Okay, according to Devraj. Okay. So basically this, um, those those who can't copy it right now, I'll share it later. So yeah, what my canvas does is this. So basically, we are almost getting there. So as you can see, I've drawn another two rectangles with a boundary, and I've written dev cluster. This is the one that is the stroke text, and this is the fill text. The fill text has filled the color orange in the text, and the dev cluster is not filled with any color. It's just a stroke. So it's basically just given the boundary. Okay. Okay. And the last, I'll show you all how to. So we saw how to draw a rectangle and how to draw text. Now we just see how to draw shapes that are not like rectangles or do not have a standard function. Okay. So these are to draw lines and draw other shapes that are not defined. We call the begin path function, where we specify that we are going to start a path because most of the cyclic coordinates have like a well-defined path, or they have like edges that are bounded. So we say that we're going to start a path. After that, we specify the ctx move to function, where we move to the starting vertex that is going to be a start vertex. And after that, we keep on calling the line to function to move to the all the other vertices uh, till we reach back to the start vertex. So if you're drawing, for example, a triangle, and if your start vertex is, okay, I'll just draw it. Okay, so if you're drawing a triangle, and if you have like a start vertex 10, 10, and so we do move to come here, and then we go to, say, we draw a line to 50, 50. Okay, and suppose our next vertex is 50, 10. Okay. So what we do is basically we say move to come here, then we do a line to here, then we specify line to 50, 10 and a line to 10, 10. And that's how we draw like triangles or bounded figures. So let's see that as well. So yeah, let's see this part. Oh, you will see the triangle first. Okay, I'll just add this code here. I'll explain the code to you guys. Stroke style is choosing my pen color. Line width is choosing thickness. Begin path states that we're going to start a closed path. Move to 10, 10. That's my starting vertex. Line to 50, 50, which is my next adjacent vertex. Again 50, 10, the next adjacent vertex, and then coming back to the start position. And then I just do ctx.stroke because I wanted to just get the boundary. If you want to do a triangle or any shape that is a filled color, then you'll have to do ctx.fill, and you'll have to mention ctx.fill style for the color that you want to fill. So let's just try this out. I go back to my page and I refresh it. I get like a triangle there. So that's how you can like draw shapes, etc. So similarly, like you can write a text. What I've done here is I've drawn a line, okay, and I've just like written HTML5 games in the text. Yeah. So that's about it for the starting part of the canvas. Just go. Any questions till section 1? Yeah. You guys are with me or like what? Okay, so I can move on to, sorry?
Guys, any questions? Do you want her to go slower? You can message on chat if you don't want to say it. Okay, 2 people said no.
No to what? No question. Okay, no questions.
No questions. Okay.
Okay, you guys can save your questions for later, or in case you have no questions, you can ping me. Anyways, that's just basic. So
You
like,
can type in the questions in the chat if you don't want to speak.
yeah, you can send it to me privately as well, like in case you guys don't want to. Okay, we move on to the section 2. Section 2 is animations. Animations using HTML. So now what we learned till now is just to draw on the canvas. Now we'll see how to animate that, and slowly using the drawing and the animation, we'll try to build a game. Okay, so what we do is I'm going to be using in this tutorial a standard JavaScript code for animation. And the one function that I'll be using is the set interval function. So if you guys know JavaScript, you know that the set interval function actually is like a callback function. Basically, it keeps running the function that you send as a callback over and over again. And basically, that's how you get your animation done. So yeah, so this is like just basic what I can explain in animations. We'll try to do that using the code. I think that'll be more better. Okay, so I'll show you what kind of animation. It's just showing a simple animation for beginners. So for now, we'll try to do this. Okay. This is like just the basic animation that we are aiming at for now. Again, really basic. Just 3 circles moving in 3 different directions. And let's see how to do this. And this is our canvas. Okay. Let's close the other slides. Okay, so again, simple, just like a basic HTML code. You have your head, body, tags. In the body, I have declared my canvas tag. Okay, what have I done till now is just declare the ID, width and height, and have set the boundary so that I can see my canvas. Same for the script. I've done variable C to get the canvas and CTX to get the context. This is like standard. So yeah, this is what my init function does. And my draw function, in my draw function, this is where I'm going to be doing most of my, the function part of it. So what I've done is I've declared 2 variables, position X and Y. So that will show the position of the moving circle. It keeps track of my circle when it moves. And the set interval JavaScript function that I mentioned to you guys. So what does the set interval do is it takes a function which will be repeated and takes a time in milliseconds. That is the time frame at which it will be repeated. So yeah, now let's see what goes in our JavaScript function of set interval. Also, you guys can have onload init over here, which is just like calling the init function. This is again JavaScript. I don't know if I should mention it. Okay, so let's focus on this part right now. So what I'm doing is, as you can see over here, I want my circles to like move continuously. So right now they're like incrementing. As you can see, this circle is moving in the horizontal direction. So in the horizontal direction, my y is constant and x keeps increasing. Similarly, this is moving in the vertical direction and y keeps changing. And here, both the variables are changing. So we'll just see how to do that. So I've just tried to increment my x and y positions. Okay. For now, let's just do these 2. So this is CTX fill style. I've chosen a color blue. You can use any CSS code or the codes are available, color codes are available online. So I've just used blue as a background. You can even go with any color you want. So fill style, this, and fill rectangle, starting from the origin. C.width is JavaScript function that gets the width of the canvas. So this will be giving me 600. And C.height will call the height. So this will give me around 400. So basically, this is drawing my background of the canvas. So let's just see what's happening in this. So right now, it's just drawing the background for me. Okay. Now let's go on to draw a circle. Okay. So CTX fill style. Basically, I'm choosing a color. This is again a shade of blue that I've picked. And now, how do we draw circles? Now, circle is not a rectangle or a fixed-sided edged polygon, but it's an arc. So how do we draw arcs using canvas? We do this. Over here, arc is just a inbuilt function. But you specify the x and y coordinates. So you can just specify any x and y coordinate. The radius, the starting angle in radians, and the ending angle in radians. So I specified 0. I've called the math.pi function, because I wanted 2pi. That is, I want a complete circle. You guys can manipulate this as per your choice. It can be 3 pi by 2 or whatever angle you want, or pi by 2 or just half a circle pi. So yeah, that goes about it. So this is how you draw circles. And ctx.fill, I call fill because I want to color the circle. So let's just save this and run it and see how it goes. Are you guys with me? Yeah. Okay. Okay, I'll just run it. For now, I have one circle that is moving in the horizontal direction. It's really simple. What I've done is I've just see my x position over here is continuously varying because it's doing +1. So every time this function is called, it does x +1 and x +1. I have kept my y constant here because, as I said, I want the circle to move horizontally. So I've kept the y constant. I've just given it to 120. You can give it to whatever, but just ensure that it's within your canvas so that you can see it. Okay, so this is what this part does. Similarly, let's give you a chance to do the remaining of the circles. Okay. Yeah, you guys can try out remaining. Let me know. Try out now if you have the time. It's very simple. It's really simple. Just give me a thumbs up when you're done trying or something. I put up the code in case you guys want to refer to it. It's this. Okay. So what I've done is for my vertical circle, I've incremented the y position and I've kept the x constant. And for moving diagonally, I'm changing both my coordinates. So yeah, this is about it for the animations part of it. I'll just run this and show you guys. It just does that. Okay. So this is about, so till now we learned how to draw simple shapes and animate them using simple shapes. So now we'll move on to building a small game. How much time do I have left, Shalaka, by any chance?
Take your time, Tushi. You can take about
Okay,
20
okay.
minutes.
Okay, cool. So 20 minutes is a good time. I'll just show you the game that I've done till now. It's a simple snake game. I've tried to keep it very simple. Okay. I'll play the game for you guys. So it's as simple as this. It's not very hard to build, and this is done entirely using HTML and JavaScript. Yeah. So we'll try to build maximum of this. So you guys can, as I said, you guys can build your own games, and there are many, like, I can link the sites later. There are many sites that actually let you host your games, and there are these 2-3 sites that I saw that have competitions of building HTML games that you can build them and then launch them, and you can have your own server and keep track of like standings and everything. So you can go to another level with it. But we'll just start from here. So yeah, next slide is developing a basic snake game. So as you know that when you're building a website also, or like when you're working with HTML in general, we have 3 major components, that is the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So they all go together. So we'll be looking into the 3 sections. I've coded it. I won't be coding along with you guys, but I'll be explaining the whole code so you can code part by part. And yeah, we can do that. So this is what my game looks like. What I've done here, if you guys can see clearly, you guys should look bigger. If you guys can see clearly, what I've done here is I have a background. I have one section that is basically my canvas where the game occurs. Then I have a part which actually keeps track of my score. Okay, and then I have this section popping up which lets me play again and displays my final score. So let's try to build this. Okay, so going to my scripting now. Okay, let's close the additional. Okay, so you guys can code along. And in case you guys miss out on something, just ping me so that I know about it. Okay, so yeah, this is what the HTML looks like. Again, it's basic. I've used jQuery in this. So if you guys know jQuery, you can go along. Otherwise, you guys can use the version for JavaScript on it. I've done jQuery. So yeah, this is how HTML looks like in my body. I have a head in which I have linked my styling part, so my CSS, which I've stored in a separate file. It's not much. I could have just stored it in one, but just for the convenience of it, kept it on separate part. So that's what I've done over here. In my body, I have, as I showed you all, I have 2 containers. One that stores my canvas and my game, and one that is just for my scoring. So I've divided my body into 2 parts, div 1 and div 2. Division 1 is a container where I have an overlay that basically stores my score. So this appears later, like when I lose the game or when the game ends. This, and then I have the canvas, which is basically what we're going to work on. And the bottom container has my scoreboard, which has my high score and my score. And it has a reset button, which can reset the score. So I have a button which resets the score and my current score and my high score. So this is about how my HTML looks like. I have a link here, which basically reloads the page if I want to play the game again. So that is this link. And yeah, and I want my score to be seen once the game is over. So it'll span my score here. So I've used span. So this is for my final score, and this is over here. So this is again basic HTML, CSS. You guys can copy this. Till then, I'll wait. Like whatever. You guys can give a heads up or something when you guys are done. Oh, okay. One more thing. In my scripting, I've called my JavaScript file, which I've written, and I've called the jQuery CDN from Google so that I do not have to download jQuery and I could directly just use it. So this is to access jQuery, and this is because I've written a script file over here. So this is what I've done, and this is my HTML, how my HTML looks like. After this, I'll show you my CSS file. Everybody with me till here? Okay, just I'll wait for another 2 minutes and then I'll just go to the CSS and explain the CSS. Oh, okay. You want me to copy paste the code in chat? You guys can just type it down. Okay, I can do that as well. Not an issue. There'll be a lot in the chat. Okay, so I've just put the code in the chat in case you guys like taking too long to type or something. Okay, so this is what my index.html does. I'll just go ahead and show you guys the CSS part of it. You guys can have your own CSS. This is just my CSS. It's not like strictly supposed to be having the same thing. But okay, my body has a background. I've given it a green color background. I've put a picture of a snake logo. It's actually a Python more cells logo. It's apparently a Python site that helps in coding better. Yeah, we have another session for that after this, I think. So yeah, I have a logo. I have no repeat, center. This is basic CSS. Font family, serif, background. I want the body to be covered, so that's why. My link, that is the link that appears here. I wanted to show a green color, so I've given it a color, black, and I've given it text decoration. That is the font inside the link. My canvas, I've given it a border so that it's well defined. The container one, that is the upper container, I have given it a margin, 30 pixels left. Left and right is auto and 30 pixels from top and 0 from bottom. So I've done this. Width, I've given it a width, overflow, position, and then opacity because I want to see the background. Container one has a similar properties. Scope board, for the scope board down, I've given a color, font size, and some other specifications, and even for the score and the high score. Score and high score have the similar properties again. And I have reset score, which is my button. Reset score is my button. Yeah, reset score is my button. So I've given it some CSS as well. And the overlay, which is the thing that appears, like I wanted to appear later. So I've given it some property, and the hyperlink, the link I've given, and I wanted to hover, like basically this is the hover. So when I click on it, it changes colors. So I've given that as well. So this is just basic CSS. You guys can have your own CSS when you're building your game. I'll wait for you guys to copy this, or if you want me to copy paste it.
So Twishi, how about we see like 5 people who can build their own snake game, and maybe you could
that'll be
review
very
it.
good. Yeah, that'll be very good. In fact, not only snake games, there are like many other tutorials online. I've seen like a lot of Mario games as well, and I've seen a lot of like fun, crazy games. So we can have like a small competition on that, and actually, like, you know.
Are you guys interested in building your own game? Like a fun competition or sort of thing? Someone reply.
Sure, better.
Yes. Okay,
Yes.
one person. Data, I know you'll say yes.
Yeah, no, there's another guy who said yes. Devraj Chatribin said yes.
Okay.
Nagraj also said yes.
Okay,
so yeah, that's a good thing. You guys can build your own game.
Yeah, we can give like 1 week time for you guys to build.
Yeah.
Maybe next weekend you can submit your games.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, and this is simple. This is just using HTML. You don't need to know any like difficult stuff. So it's just basic.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the CSS. I'll go to the JavaScripting part of it. So that's the major part of it. So I'll cover that. Cool. Are you guys with me?
Yeah, they're there.
Okay. Okay, so what I do over here is, CSS is called, I've linked to CSS, so it's going to be called. Now let's move on to the JavaScripting. So when I've used jQuery in it, so I start with document.ready function. That is basically when the document loads, it starts doing this. So what I've done, this is standard jQuery function. This is what I'm using. Those people who know jQuery might be able to relate with it. So yeah, basically it loads the page. It loads the functionality once the page is loaded. So I do the same thing what I've been doing for the before videos. I load the canvas. I've used jQuery here. Instead of using JavaScript, I use jQuery. I've called my canvas object, and zeros to, like, in case there are multiple canvases, I call the first instant of the canvas. So this is the canvas. Then the context, same thing, canvas.getContext, what we did for so long. Over here, variable width and height. I just use this. Okay. Canvas.width and canvas.height are again jQuery functions that get the width and height. So I set the width and height to be 600 and 450. So that's what it gets here. It gets the width of 600 and a height of 450. It stores it in a variable. I've declared some more variables over here, which I'll be using in my game. Variable cell width is width of each cell, so that I can see it. I've given it a width of 15. Variable direction. This is the default direction of my snake. As you can see that I want my snake to be moving in the right direction initially. So that's what stores that. So direction variable stores that. Food. Variable food is basically an array that stores the location or the position of the food of the snake. Variable speed stores the speed at which I want the snake to move. You can have it like really slow or really fast. You can also modify it later to have many levels by increasing the speed, etc. I've kept it to one standard speed for now. Variable score is basically it's a variable that keeps a track of the score, and variable color is just to give color to my snake. So this is about it. And the major variable that I use is variable snake array. it dynamically stores the pixels where the snake moves. So basically the pixels that will be shown. So that's what is stored in the snake array. That's basically my snake. Okay, so again, like till whatever we've been doing now from the first section to the second section, we have a function init, initializer, where I default, I just specify the direction to be right again. And then I call two separate functions that I've created. One is create snake and one is create food. I'll explain the functions to you later. I'll just complete the init function first. Score 0 is I initialize the score to be 0 initially. And again, the same JavaScript function that I used to animate, I've got set interval, and paint, that is my draw function, which is going to be my callback function, which I keep repeating again and again. And the speed is like in milliseconds what I want the snake to move at. So yeah, this is about what the init function does. Then I've called the init function here. I've done this method. You guys can use the onload method, what I specified before, like body onload init, or you can use document onload init, the JavaScript for it. I just directly called it here. Okay, so are you guys with me till here? You guys want to copy this? Okay, I'll just give you all a minute to copy like this much.
Hey Twishi, one question.
Yeah.
Here for canvas, variable canvas which is present, why did you mention 0 there?
Where? Oh, here. Okay, because in case I declare like multiple canvas variables, so if I have like all the canvases are stored, like so if I have like 2-3 canvas, I can access that canvas using 0, 1, 2, 3. Like it's stored like that. So that's that.
Okay, but if you have only one, then is there a necessity to mention it?
No, you can directly do it like using my canvas.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, you guys. Okay, so I'll just go ahead with the part of it. Okay, so create snake. Now what is my snake does is my initial starting length of the snake, I've declared it to be 5. I'll explain what this part of the code does. So variable length is equal to 5. I've just chosen the initial length to be 5. My snake array is initially declared to be null. So I'll explain this using the whiteboard. Okay, so imagine that if this is my coordinate system. Sorry for my drawing, it's bad. Okay, imagine that this is the original coordinate system and I have okay. So what my snake does is initially my snake is of length 5. Okay. So as I mentioned before, in Canvas we have this kind of coordinate system. Y is here, x is here, and 0 is here. So this is 0, 0. This is 1, 0, and 2, 3, 4, 5 till here, and 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. Okay. So this part of the code basically starts at length 4 and it pushes like each cell into the array of the snake. So first it pushes 4, 0, then 3, 0, 2, 0. So basically I get that whole snake. So that's what my snake function does. So it gets the value of the snake. Then my function create food. It's basically to create food dynamically, like at any location. So that's why I've used the random function. I'll explain this part of the code. So I had declared my width of the canvas to be 600 and my cell width to be 15. So what I did is basically I have created a canvas of 40 by 30 pixels, like of width 40 by 30, because each cell width is of 15 pixels. So if I draw it and I show you guys, this part is 15 cells, like 15, and I have like 40 pixels like this that are of width 15. So basically, my whole canvas is divided into a grid, so I can easily display it and spot it. So that's what that does. That part of the code does. Like it multiplies random. As you know, random gives a value between 0 to 1. So it multiplies that. So it gives me a value between 0 to 40. So that's what x coordinate and y coordinate of the food will do. That's the same thing here. Instead of h, I've used instead of w, I've used h. So it'll be 450 minus 15 divided by 15. So it's again 30. So it's by 40 by 30 ka grid I have for my food. Okay. So these are two functions that I call create snake and create food. And after that, I call the set interval function, which is paint, which is the draw function, which I used before, and with a speed of 130 over here. You can use any speed you guys want. That is the interval at which it will be called over and over again. So let's move on to my paint function. So what my paint function does is initially it creates a background, creates this background with a color, again rectangle, and stroke white because it gives it a border. So I have stroke 0, 0 of width, comma height. Now let's get to the moving of the snake. As you guys can see that I want my snake to move into different grid sections. So what I've done is I've done a variable nx and ny. This stores the current position of the snake's head. So basically, it stores this position, like the head of the snake. So whenever the head moves, that is nx comma ny. So that's nx comma ny. So wherever the snake moves. So that's what I state here. Snake array, that is the first cell. So basically, as you know, it's queue structure. It takes the first element, that is 4, 0 that was stored. So initially nx and ny for my game is 4, 0. So that's what nx and ny stores. Then I check for the direction in which the snake is moving. So if my direction is right, I try to increment the nx position. So again, if my direction is right, I try to increment nx because nx will increase. If my direction is down, I try to increase my ny. So that's what I've done over here. If my direction is right, I try to increase nx. My direction is left, I try to decrement nx. If my direction is up, try to decrement ny, and if my direction is down, I try to increment ny. Okay, so this is for my direction. Now this part of the code is to check if my snake collides. Like it can collide against the boundary of the canvas, or it can collide with itself, like it eats itself. So these are the basic codes that I've done. Or if nx and ny is not a valid like part of the cell, not a valid number, that's why I've done nx is -1 or ny is -1. Nx, this is colliding with the boundary, that is the left and right boundary, and this is colliding with the top and bottom boundary. So if it collides with any of these cells, the game should end. And check collision is a function that I've declared to see if the snake collides with itself. I'll come back to that later. I'll just explain the bottom part of the code first. Yeah, okay. I don't have much time, so I'll just like explain the code a little faster to you guys. Okay. NX, this is to see when the snake eats the food. Okay. So if the head and the food coordinates match, what I do is basically I declare a variable tail. I have to increase the length of this. Okay, I have to increase the length of the size of the snake if it eats the food. Okay.
Twishi, we can see the drawing that you have made. We can't see the.
Okay, you guys can see this, the code now.
No, we're still seeing the drawing.
Okay, wait. Just give me a minute. Can you guys see the code now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I had explained this. If my direction is moving right or left, I try to increment X and Y. I try to hurry up a little with the code because I don't have much time on me. I'll push the code to GitHub, or I'll share the code with you guys later. Okay. So this is to check the collisions. This is basically if the snake eats the food, I increment the snake's length. So that's why I add the current head of the snake into the tail, and then I do unshift over here. Unshift is a jQuery function that adds elements to the array and increments the length and returns the new length of the array without actually having to, do actual shifting of the array. So this is what unshift. I've used the JavaScript jQuery function. So if the snake eats the food, I increment my score and I create a new food, like create another morsel of the food. Else, what I do is I pop the tail and I add the head. So basically, when the snake moves by 1 pixel, if it's moving left, the back pixel is removed and the head pixel is added. So it's the length remains the same, but it keeps shifting. So that's what this part does. Then this paints paint cell function basically paints the snake again and again, over and over again. So that's what I do over here. You guys can see paint cell. I send the NX and NY values of that are stored in the array of the snake, and I keep painting it. And paint cell on the food pixel paints the food. So this is what my draw function is. Check score is just a function that I've stored to. Check score is just a function that I've stored to basically increment my score, or see if there's a new high score or new low score. This is again a function that I've declared over here. I've used the local storage so that I don't have to maintain a separate variable, and I can have that maintained in the browser itself. So local storage get item high score is null. If there's no new high score, then I keep the old score. And if there's a new high score which is greater than the old score, I set the new high score. So this is what my check score function does. And check collision basically checks that if my head matches any of the pixels of the body of the snake, then I return true, else I return false. So that is if the snake eats itself. So this is what it does basically. And if there's any collision, then I return the final score, and I set my final score over here to my score, and I basically call the overlay, which is showing the final score. Besides this, I also have a controller for my keyboard input. Since I am using my arrow keys to control my snake, most of the keys have a well-defined number given to them. The arrow keys are given 37, 38, 39, and 40, which I've used. I've used jQuery again here. It's a keyboard controller to key down. I've called a function E, which it's basically, it's an event that occurs. E.which gives you which key is pressed, indicating which button is pressed. I've mentioned it here. And basically it checks. So if the snake is moving left, it cannot move. move right. It can only move up and down. So that's why I checked it's not right, and I've done this part of the code for it. I shall link the code for you guys. Okay. Reset score is a function that I've called separately because it's a part of my other container. It's a button, so it's like it's not a part of the canvas, so I didn't call it when the document loads. I've created a separate function for it outside the document ready function. So yeah, this is basically what the scripting looks like. And yeah, this is how the game is actually built. It's very simple. This is what it does. And that's it. You guys can see the presentation. Any other question and answers? We've actually reached the end of it. Okay, you guys can give your feedback also in case I was like too fast or too slow, or if you guys were like not up with me. Can you guys hear me? Okay, so yeah, basically that's what I have from my side. It's a simple game that I developed. You guys can actually, I'll bring some course materials for you guys. These are some, these are like unpaid course materials. Some of the course materials that I followed myself. Besides this, there is another Udemy course which is paid, and I think there's another course on Coursera. I'm not sure, but there's a Udemy course which is paid. It's around some 500 or 600 rupees. So I've not mentioned that. There are plenty of YouTube tutorials. You can watch them. Yeah, these are some links like getting started with game development actually helps you, guides you how you can set up a server as well. So you can have a backend and everything. Like you can become a complete game developer. So yeah. Any questions? Anything you guys want to say? Okay.
They want you to send the code.
Okay, I'll send you guys the code. Do you want me to email the code, or should I push it on the GitHub?
You can submit the link.
Okay.
You have
GitHub is good. We'll
Yeah,
publish the
GitHub.
link.
Okay, I'll give that. I'll push it and I'll send the link.
And you can, if you are doing it now after your session, you can add the link in the chat itself.
Okay, okay, I'll do that.
Change your slides.
30? Oh, okay. Okay, that's all from me for now. Thank you guys for actually tuning in.
Thanks, Twishi.